All right, why don't we get started? Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Welcome to the second webinar in our series, It Takes a Village to Build a Business. Today, we're going to be focusing on enabling employees. I'm John Yamas, a principal consultant in the Thought Leadership and Advisory Services Group here at Cornerstone On Demand, and I'm pleased to be the moderator for today's webinar. But before I begin, we've just got a few housekeeping items to cover. So first, this webinar is being recorded and will be sent in the following email at a later date. Second, if you'd like to ask a question, you can do so at any time using the Q&A box on the right-hand side of your screen. We'll try to answer as many questions as possible during the designated Q&A time at the end of the presentation. And finally, if you experience any technical issues, please send a message in the chat box and somebody on our team will assist you. So we've got an exciting webinar lined up for you today. I'll be kicking it off with a quick backdrop on what it means to enable an employee. Why does it matter? And then we'll go through some real-life examples, and I'm thrilled to be joined by my colleagues Lisa Hammack and Bonnie Tinder on today's webinar that will present the meat of this webinar. Lisa and Bonnie work at Cornerstone Sales Enablement Department and are responsible for equipping our sales team with the information and tools that they need to be successful. They will be covering how Cornerstone delivers orientation and onboarding. Then they'll do a deep dive into the strategy and execution for one of our ongoing enablement tools, specifically Cornerstone for Salesforce. And so with that, let's get started. So one of the things I like to always do is start out with a grounding and shared definition. And so we've done that here with employee enablement. And at the core, enabling is providing the information, the content, and the tools for that learner to be more effective. And as part of that, efficiency, time to productivity, et cetera, which was a big component of obviously any orientation and onboarding program that is the focus for our chat today in terms of this discussion. So what is employee enablement? Well, it actually starts day one, and it's about orientation and onboarding. And orientation is generally a very fixed, almost episode in bringing a new employee on board. The onboarding tends to be more of a process as opposed to an event like orientation. And you'll see a clear distinction in Lisa and Bonnie's talk about how we've done that here at Cornerstone. It's also ongoing and engaging, the fact that it's more than just once, but an ongoing process. We have to think about, well, how do we keep that learner engaged so that they get the benefit of the work that's been provided for them. And then finally, it provides a learning within a context in a moment of a task, right when it's needed. As you can imagine, as someone new comes on board, there's lots of new things that they need to learn. There's lots of new tasks that they're going to be responsible for. And as quickly as we can get them productive, that's what enablement is. So that's the what. The way to do it is really through providing a blended, on-demand, social, and collaborative learning tool set. It really isn't just one thing. There's lots of ways. There are one-on-one personal meetings. There's obviously could be in-person training, classroom training, shared activities with our onboarding employees, as well as the online technology-based training. And one of the things that we want to focus on, again, is not only effectiveness, but efficiency, and something that is redoable, that can be, wash, rinse, et cetera. And I found that employing a framework like the 5 moments of need is particularly effective in these kind of situations. And very quickly, what are those 5 moments of need? Well, gaining a new skill, which we know onboarding an employee, a new employee is going to need. Learning more. So there's this moment of they've learned something the first time, but we've got to get into a situation of retrieval so that they can learn more, they can extend the applicability, generalize that new skill. Third, applying knowledge to act on what has already been learned. So that's the moment of the apply. So again, being able to generalize what you learned and recognize the signs of, oh, I know how to do this. I did this a little bit earlier, or this is simply an extension of what I've already learned. The fourth item is solving a new challenge. That's the thing that grabs the attention. That's the thing that generates the effort to really solve and get to point B from point A. And so providing that challenge is part of the learning process, is a way to ingrain, to cause retrieval, and to move that learning into a long-term memory situation. And finally, changing skills to meet new standards. So things are going to change. It's not static, but again, having had a learning situation where you've had to adapt, you've now got the skills to do that, and that's exactly what we want that onboarding and that orientated new employee to do. So what is the end outcome of all of this? A, you have an informed, skilled, engaged, and productive employee. That's the goal. Clearly, that's what we need. And then secondly, and this is the big payoff, is that transitions of business from a learning organization, which we've started out as, into a performance organization, and that's where we want to be. So all of these things start happening the minute we accept the letter of employment, we come on board, and we have all of the great excitement and challenges in front of us, and now we just need to be led to that promised land. And so I'm going to turn it over to Lisa right now, and she can talk about how we do that at Cornerstone. Lisa.
Thank you, John. So I'm excited to get a chance to talk to you a little bit about how we do some of the things John just talked about here at Cornerstone. So I'm going to start talking about our onboarding program. So my responsibilities at Cornerstone are both onboarding and sales effectiveness programs for all our sales new hires globally. So I'm excited to talk to you. I just want to spend a few minutes giving you an overview of our approach to onboarding. Like many of you, it is our objective to make sure that our new hires get up and running as soon as possible and are as productive, really from the day they start with the company. So our approach to onboarding is very personalized, and we try to make it very consistent globally, and really helps us meet some of our business objectives. By doing this, we have seen some real impact in some important business initiatives around time to first sale for sales reps, and certainly even increase in win rate, which I think is probably very important to most companies. So let's talk a little bit about our onboarding program. So this is probably might look like a little bit of a crazy slide, but this is just a snapshot of Cornerstone onboarding. So basically, our onboarding program is pretty high touch. Every new hire that comes in has an individual welcome call with a sales effectiveness program manager within like their first day of starting with the business. And that person then also becomes kind of their go-to person for training or questions. So they have that, we start with that personal touch right from the start. So as you can also see from this snapshot, there are a lot of things that go on in the journey, but there are also some things that are kind of happening simultaneously throughout the onboarding life cycle. So when a sales rep starts, they've actually already been assigned an onboarding curriculum when they start with the company on their very first day. And this curriculum is very specific to both their role, their business unit, and their region. And they're also assigned specific goals and tasks based on the same criteria. The way we're able to do this is we're assigned this through dog food. I guess you can probably guess what dog food is. It's our own internal implementation of Cornerstone Unified Talent Management. So this allows us to really dynamically assign curriculum and training right from the start based on a person's role. Along with this, all new hires, regardless of role, actually attend new hire orientation at Cornerstone headquarters. And this isn't necessarily tied to being in sales. This is every single person that starts with the company. And what's really great about this, it really gives people an introduction to our company culture, and also goes a long way in making a new hire feel really part of the Cornerstone team. Then following on that, if you're in sales, we also have a new hire boot camp, which is also in-person training. And that's a week-long training program as well. So typically when you attend boot camp, you've already pretty much completed most of the onboarding curriculum online. And so the boot camp is used to reinforce and practice a lot of those skills that you've been learning since you started. After that, we have post-boot camp curriculum as well, and you'll do a lot of different things, hands-on training, you'll be able to practice the skills you're learning throughout. And then once you've been in a job and actually have the opportunity to actually, run some deals and actually work with some customers, we then bring you back after about 6 to 9 months and you attend level up training. And this is really kind of the next level of training, so to speak, where you do more things around negotiation skills and selling to different business personas. So it's kind of that next level of training. So that's just a quick snapshot of some of the things we do to make a very personalized experience for our new trainees. Just a few additional things around this. A few of the highlights of our program and what we continue to work on continuously is our ability to really benchmark the effectiveness of our onboarding program and training. One of the ways we do that is we create 45 and 90-day scorecards. And this helps our team in sales effectiveness really look at how a new hire is doing. So we're really connected to, how they're doing in their curriculums, how they're moving along, if they're already in deals, if they're getting involved in talking with customers. And based on that, then we're really able to assess if there are other activities that we need to be doing with them. So one of the things this really helps us to do is keep our curriculums and things we offer to employees very consistent. And we're also able to really vary it based on their role and region. We also understand and have really placed a renewed focus on management training this past year. We have definitely learned that employees really don't leave companies as much as they leave managers. So we understand the importance and have really spent a lot of time with our managers on good coaching skills and found it's really crucial to our rep success. So those are just some of the notes about what we've done. And now I'm actually going to turn it over to Bonnie because she's going to be able to talk to you a little bit about how we've also used Cornerstone for Salesforce to really help us improve that continuous training, and also that just-in-time training is needed as reps get up to speed. Thanks,
Great.
Bonnie.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Lisa. And hello to everyone. I'm Bonnie Tinder. I work in the sales enablement area within Cornerstone. And as Lisa mentioned, what I want to talk a little bit about is how we actually enable our salespeople through just-in-time training integrated with the Salesforce.com platform. And the tool that we use internally for our sales process is Salesforce.com, as most companies in America today. And I want to tell you a little bit about a program that we've rolled out in the last year that's really helped to provide a lot of what I would call spot training or just-in-time training that supplements some of the in-person and curriculums that Lisa has just mentioned. And if you're not familiar with Cornerstone for Salesforce, what that is a tool that is built upon the Force.com platform. It's really designed to help tie learning initiatives and sales enablement together. And it will provide training to any user of the Salesforce system based upon certain events. So, for example, if a salesperson were to move an opportunity from the prospecting stage to a demonstration, it would provide training for just that situation on an ongoing basis. So it's been something that's had some tremendous impacts for us. I'm going to tell you about some of those results at the end. But I wanted to spend a little bit of time about, talking about how we got to where we are today. So 12 months later with this program in place. I think what was really important for us was to set the goals that we had in mind to develop a training curriculum based in Salesforce. So we defined what success was going to look like in the end, and we built a team that was going to help us drive those initiatives that we had. And ultimately, I think as a lot of sales enablement groups, we want to increase the win rate, and we want to decrease the amount of time it takes to get a salesperson productive. So really, as we went into the process, those were the sort of the big initiatives that we wanted to impact. So we built a team project team together that would help us get there, and made sure that everyone had very clear responsibilities on that team for how they were going to help us carry out the program. I think what's really important is we had an executive sponsor who helped to really lend credibility to the project and made sure that it got the visibility that was due to make sure that everybody adopted the system. We had members of our sales enablement team as part of that. We had a few team members who had expertise with Salesforce.com, and we're going to do sort of the technical side of things and handle those areas. And then we also, on our team, had functional representation. So for our purposes, these were actual salespeople who would be using the system every day to help guide us and make sure that we were really rolling out a program that was going to get used and was going to be relevant. We were able to roll out the program within 45 days with some really nice focused effort, and I think that we see a lot of our customers who are able to do the same. I think what was really important for Cornerstone is, this is a product that we market to our customers, and I think the best way for our salespeople to truly understand the value of that is for them to be using it. And so what we found was by rolling this out, we really helped increase awareness and understanding for what the power of that product was, and that was a tremendous side benefit for Cornerstone personally. So, as I mentioned, 45 days to get it rolled out from start to finish. I think a really important milestone for us in the process was a 2-day working session that we held in Chicago, where we sat in a room and just hammered out a lot of the things that we wanted to accomplish. We inventoried all the content we had available and created that framework to make sure that we could get it done successfully within that period of time. And I think really important too, documentation. We created sort of a spreadsheet that had all of the project timeline in place, and that was sort of how we operated to make sure that we were on task. In practice, I'll just share with you some of the things that we wanted to do with this. We wanted to align to the sales process. So we wanted to make sure that the training that we were providing to our salespeople really was relevant to wherever they were in the sales process. So unlike, a new hire training where it's very, broad and it gives them, all the knowledge that they need, what's different about this particular program is that it is very specific based on, situations that happen within a sales process. And I think that was very critical for us, is to define, what those sort of trigger events were, and then to make sure that we had the right training for those things throughout the sales process. We wanted to make sure that our salespeople understood the value of the product. As I mentioned before, this was a great way to do it, to put it in their hands and actually, eat our own dog food, so to speak. We wanted to make sure that we were using videos and some of the modern capabilities within the Salesforce system. So a lot of the training that we rolled out was actually video-based training, which our salespeople really like. We wanted to make sure it was very practical and that a salesperson, as they're going through and changing opportunities and thinking through their deals, that this is actual relevant material that they can put into practice right away. The end goals that we had in mind, we wanted to increase our sales rep productivity and win rate. We wanted to really be a best-in-class use case of our own product. And I think, I don't want to steal the thunder at the end, but we were able to do that and to prove some very specific metrics around how we use the product ourselves. We wanted to increase our overall operational efficiency reinforced the onboarding training that was done, and really improved the overall continuing education available at Cornerstone. You know, our tagline is realize, helping companies realize their potential, or employees realize their potential. And, you know, I think that this is just another sort of illustration of how that works in practice at Cornerstone. In terms of the execution, we divided up the sales process, and all of our materials we cataloged in 3 major buckets by the sales stage. So was it material based on a salesperson prospecting into an account, or competing actively in an account, or closing an account? So those were sort of our broad categories, and then subcategories to that, you know, we you know, had specific training on things like product, our competition, depending on who that was, and then industry and things like that. So we went through and defined it, I want to say something like 80 different events that happen within the Salesforce system and will activate training based on those events. You know, I think one of the questions that we had to ask ourselves was, you know, do we have the right content to accurately handle all of those events, or do we need to refresh or create new material? Also, what format is it in? Is it in, you know, a dated PowerPoint slide, or can we put a video in there instead? And so those were the things that we dealt with as we went through the implementation of this product. So I just want to show you a couple of quick examples of what these triggers look like in the system. This first one is a salesperson actually creating an account plan with a life sciences account. So for example, we have a salesperson who's prospecting into a pharmaceutical company, and within the Salesforce system, they enter that information automatically. When they say, hey, I'm creating a new account plan for them, immediately they will have a training trigger, which is fired up and shows available learning based on life sciences, so that this salesperson could be very aware and in tune with the market drivers of pharmaceutical type of companies. What are the HR ramifications of this type of industry? And I think that really helps us to be more educated in the sales process, and fine-tune the way that we work with different types of organizations. So it really helps to better prepare our salespeople to effectively speak with clients. Also, for product learning, so in this particular instance, this would be a salesperson creating a proposal which included our learning product. It would immediately fire a learning training event for a salesperson to get more educated about the features of Cornerstone's learning system. Finally, my last example here is during an active sales process, we compete with other vendors. And so in this situation, if Oracle was the vendor that we were competing against in an opportunity, it would queue up available learning to help educate a salesperson on that particular competitor, so strengths and weaknesses and things like that. So just really, I think it helps to reinforce the idea of, that just-in-time sort of information that helps a salesperson be more effective in an opportunity. And we've really seen the benefits of all of those trigger events happening, particularly with some of our newer sales personnel. I think what's really important is the fact that all of this was built within the Salesforce platform. And, it was really important for us to be able to monitor, was the system and these learning curriculums actually being adopted by our salespeople? And, were we able to tie those learning initiatives back to tangible results, both with sales attainment as well as, time to productivity? And I think the really nice thing about having all of those elements within the Salesforce.stat system or Force.com system is that for reporting, you don't have to go to two separate systems to tie sales, quota attainment along with a salesperson's training curriculum completed. So we could see some really nice direct correlation between those two areas. And that really helped us to then, within the 12-month period of time, look at the results and determine was this successful or not. And so we did meet the goals that we set in place. We went live now one full year ago, back in December 2016. At that time, we were averaging about 6,200 course assignments within the system that were made for our salespeople. At that point, and you think December is a very busy sales month, we had a 6.4% completion rate. That was our baseline. And by the end of Q1, we actually had increased that completion rate to approximately 25%. And I think that was just increasing the awareness of the system and the ability for the salespeople to also have some more time to spend with the learning initiatives with the new quarter. But we definitely increased the completion rate that we had. And as we look back now, in the past year, 2017, from where we were at the same time last year, we have seen an increase in our win rate, which was significant to us. I mean, that's a direct impact on the bottom line that we could correlate there. And I think the other benefit, and this goes hand in hand with some of the other learning initiatives that Lisa mentioned, is we saw a ramp time decrease. So that time to productivity where we could get a salesperson, through training and actually, feeling comfortable in the sales process and able to effectively, win opportunities was something that we were able to impact through the system as well. So it's been, an excellent program for us, and, it's something that, we can now, speak to our customers about our own experience about using it internally, as well as help guide them through the processes they do that within their own organizations. So with that, I'd love to open it up for any questions, not just for me, but also for Lisa and John as well, that you might have.
Kate, I think we've got, let's see, from here, we have a couple of questions for Lisa and Bonnie. I'll just throw it up and whoever wants to take it. What is the most common training that are taken, and can you see or view course completions by sales stage? You mentioned that earlier, that you break it up. So can you see those completions by those stages?
We absolutely can. So I think, we can, because we have everything cataloged in either by prospecting, competing, or closing, we can see the bulk of training that's completed in each one of those three buckets. And where we're seeing the biggest weight is in the prospecting phase. And I think the industry-related trainings that we have, so targeted trainings about, how do I, effectively, work with a life sciences corporation versus retail versus financial services, because we have such a good deal of volume in those sort of areas, we see a lot of training being launched in those.
Great. Here's another question. What has the feedback been from your users? And I think probably an add-on to that is, what have we done with it?
Yeah, and I think Lisa can add to this as well. So the feedback that we've gotten has been very positive. I think, number one, that, Cornerstone is able to really adopt and use our own products internally. But the feedback has been great, and we've seen an increase in the amount of Cornerstone for Salesforce proposals that we've had, I think, as a result of using it ourselves as well. So, Lisa, what about you?
Yeah, I agree. I think the feedback's been really good, and I think as we've really focused on using some more modern, some of the more modern techniques around micro-learning and just really trying to modernize some of the training we had, I think that has really had a great acceptance by our users and their ability to get it on, via their mobile phones, and the acceptance has been really, really good.
And I assume that we've been able to leverage that and also help our customers from some of the learnings that we've had as a result of that. So to your point, it really does expand the benefits when we take a look at that information and can zero in on what's working and what's not. Okay.
Absolutely.
I think I'm just checking to see if there are any other questions. It doesn't look like, and we're really actually a little past our time, so I think we're ready to wrap things up. If people want to stay tuned, we have our last webinar in this series on enabling clients that will occur on Thursday. So I want to thank Lisa and Bonnie for an excellent overview of how we're using Cornerstone for Salesforce internally. And if there are any other questions, folks, please follow up with us. As I said, this will be sent out, the recording of this, so that you'll be able to look at it again or extend it out to other folks that you think would be appreciative of hearing what we've done. So with that, I'm going to close it out. Again, Bonnie, Lisa, thanks so much, and we'll see everybody on Thursday.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.